we basically just took all the packages of like, okay, what between impact, sun, what's the big thing about Pinnacle Pristine? Because that's the better roof. That's what we're typically selling most of. Great Scotch We're going to focus on Scotch. And then the two of like hailstorms and cool in the summer sun. Again, smaller customer demographic because you're not selling as many of those roofs, but the people that are curious about it or interested, this is the information that they're going to see. And it tells it to them in a way that I always think of like the retired engineer dad, you know him when you go out and do a sales visit with him, like, oh, what'd you used to do? I was an engineer. Oh, okay, great. Let's talk impact and let's talk sun shingles and metal because you care about these things. And he's going to be the one that's going to look at the impact rating and rubberized polymer and be like, ooh, cool. But somebody else that's not looking at those, they're going to gloss over them because it's not something that's speaking to them because they weren't interested in the first place.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then we have upgrades.
Yep. So how do you boost your ticket price and boost your overall profit on a job without having to be a pushy sales guy? Just let people know what you can do for them. Show them that, hey, here's a problem that I can solve for you. So if you're in a forever home, you're maybe going to consider a lifetime pipe boot. I forget what the John you guys are charging for them, but I know it's like you're making good money. And anybody that sells these lifetime pipe boots, I've got a couple other guys that we put them into their sell sheets too. Not every customer is going to buy it, but the people that will buy it, it's like, great, I'll get 20 of those guys a year. It's like, cool, we just made an extra 10 grand this year just from having this shown there. And I didn't even have to talk about it. And this is where going back to the blueprint of thinking about not just you as the owner, but who else is going to sell for you someday? If it's going to be somebody else, you're going to add more people to your business. How do you build a sales pitch that, if you don't have a big presentation or a PowerPoint and all this stuff, like here's my sales pitch so that I know that my sales guy is going to go through all the important stuff on every one of these site visits with a homeowner. He'll talk about gutters and the pipe boots, and then I'll talk about the other FAQs that I want to make sure he brings up. And then this is kind of that last sheet of, hey, here's what else we might have for you, and try and answer the questions that will save you a phone call from a customer later because you've outlined that ahead of time.
Yep, makes sense. Well, no, I love this. We're getting into down here the more standard stuff generated by Proline. The
Yeah, one of the things we're working on next is we'll just now that I know we got the header options in here, we're going to do some custom headers just so the branding stays consistent on these other pages. Because that'll be the nice thing. I think I was thinking through this more, where it's like, the homeowner that might print this off when they say, hey, I'm going to print these bids off at the table. We've got this beautiful quote, but if they only print these 3 pages, it's really nice that Proline's got the ability for me to just throw a little bit of a branding header on those additional good, better, best pages to, if they don't print it all, they still see that stuff up top. So
Yep,
that's the missing cherry on top that I'm going to take care of for John. So
love that. It's gonna be awesome. John, just as you mute your mic to deal with something.
I'm so
uh,
sorry that I've been interrupting this whole time.
I know.
Okay, quick notes. I really enjoy working with Chris. We have known each other for a little while. If you are in the roofing space, you probably struggle with implementation, just in general. Whether you're a production guy or a sales guy, you probably struggle with implementation, actually doing the things you know you're supposed to do. You also may think you know what you're supposed to be doing, and you haven't narrowed it down enough. Like the marketing blueprint is exactly what I find valuable for any company. And it's just not, you can't go into a Facebook group and say, hey, can I do, you can get some information, but you're not really going to get the correct information for your business and who your ideal customer is. If you are thinking about all these consultants and all these coaches and all this, like it can be Chris, it can be anyone. There's good people, there's bad people. What Chris does is he identifies and then he implements. And that is really, really important for all of us. It doesn't matter if you're good at it either. If you're great at either one of those things, you need another person to help you be better at the identification of your ideal customer, ideal job type. And you need to do it pretty frequently too. You can't just say I've done it and then I'm done, because it does change. Each year, our ideal customer changes slightly. Our ideal job changes, the size, all those things are really, really important to understand what marketing's working, what marketing is not working, where you should put your dollars towards, where you shouldn't. And then you can have all that planned. You can do all that great work and take all that time and work with your team. But if you don't actually do it, it doesn't matter. So that's the value that I found that Chris brings to roofing contractors. From my perspective, it's you just need someone to walk alongside you to do those two things. We're too busy. I mean, as we've been on this call, one reason I've been quiet is because I'm dealing with an issue, and then I'm dealing with another issue, and it's like, I've got a team that helps support me, and I'm still having to do these things. So you need to take time out of your weekly schedule and get this set up so that you're identifying and implementing these things on a consistent basis. That's my
Absolutely.
That's a
That's
it's
my-
a good
that's my
segue to a thought, because I know the next step is like, okay, so like sell sheets, the operation stuff.